Hey, I told you guys, this content comes every single week. Welcome back to the Kenny C Show. This is going to be a two-part episode this week, with the first part being the AFC and the second part being the NFC. We are through 11 weeks of football. We're damn near almost at Thanksgiving. We're heading into week 12. So why not do a couple episodes of if the playoffs started today, what would be the matchups? Who are my winners for those matchups? So we're going to get into that in this one, focused on the AFC and looking at the AFC playoff picture as presently constituted. And then the next episode, which will be dropping sometime tomorrow or the day after. This week, no doubt, we will do the NFC. So you want to hit that subscribe button. You won't want to miss any of that. I'm going to bring that energy. I'm going to bring the opinions, bring the facts, and most of all, I want to hear from you, the people, in the comment section below. So give me your thoughts. But take a look here at this playoff picture for the AFC. The Denver Broncos at 9-2 would get the first round bye, followed by the New England Patriots as the 2 seed, the Colts the 3 seed, the Pittsburgh Steelers the 4 seed, the Buffalo Bills the 5 seed, the Chargers the 6, and the Jags rounding things out as the 7 seed. That's today. Now you look at Houston, Kansas City, and Baltimore, all on the outside looking in. That's pretty crazy to think about, but ultimately, I think one of those teams, if not both the Chiefs and the Ravens, by the season's end, will get into the playoffs. But let's talk about the here and the now. The New England Patriots as the 2 seed would be hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars 6-4, the Patriots 9-2, Jags as the 7, Pats as the 2, so the Pats would be hosting them in Foxborough. Plain and simple, in my eyes, Trevor Lawrence doesn't move the needle for me. He's far too inconsistent. I know they're coming off a win against the Chargers 35-6, but that was a win in which they relied heavily on their rushing attack, which involves ETN, who had 2 touchdowns, and Tootin, who had a touchdown himself. But you look at the 4 losses that Trevor and the Jags have had. They lost to Cincy in week 2, they had Joe Burrow. Week 6 and 7, they lost to Seattle and to the Rams. And now they're coming off a game in which they beat the Chargers, but in those 2 games against the Seahawks and the Rams, when you look at what happened in the second half, Trevor Lawrence couldn't get anything going offensively. They had nothing but punts in the second half. And then 13 penalties for 119 yards against the Rams in week 7. That's just simply not going to win you football games. When you look at the coaching matchup, Liam Cohen versus Mike Vrabel, I'm taking Vrabel all day. He's got the playoff experience. He knows how to win playoff games. And the quarterback situation, I don't trust Lawrence, as I just mentioned. I do, however, trust Drake May, who is playing with the utmost confidence and looking like he is in the prime driver's seat right now to win the MVP award. Coming off a win against the Jets, a divisional matchup. If the Jets had even half of a competent quarterback, they maybe would have made that more interesting and pulled that out. But the Patriots, 27-14, Travion Henderson. When you get the rook rumbling like the Patriots have, coming off a 3-touchdown performance, he's going to be hard to stop, coupled with Drake May. And the defense, in my eyes, far and away better than the Jaguars defense. The Patriots defense has been kicking this year, especially when you got a defensive-minded guru in Mike Vrabel as the head coach. They're top 10 in points per game allowed. They're top 10, I believe, in total yards per game allowed. This is a Patriots defense that is nothing to mess around with. So give me the Pats to take down the Jags in what would be a first-round matchup. And then moving on right here to the Colts, 8-2 as the 3 seed, hosting the 6 seed, the LA Chargers, who are 7-4 right now in the season. The Chargers coming off of that aforementioned loss to the Jaguars, 35-6. And then on the other side of things, the Colts had a bye, but the week prior, in an overtime win against the Atlanta Falcons, MVP candidate Jonathan Taylor had a gigantic game. If you had him in fantasy football, whoo, you breezed to a win by the 1 p.m. kickoff. Because I think that was, the Germany game? That Atlanta and Colts game, that was the early morning game. But JT went off for 244 yards and 3 touchdowns in that one. And when we look at week 7 of this season, This playoff matchup between the Colts and the Chargers would be a rematch of Week 7, in which the Colts came away with a 38-24 victory. 2 interceptions for Herbert in that game, and JT, 94 yards and 2 touchdowns. When you look at the Colts defensively, top 5 against the run, top 10 in terms of the least points per game allowed. I'm taking the Colts in this one, primarily because I don't think the Chargers defense, give credit to Minter and company, because he's been awesome in what he's been able to do with this Chargers defense. And largely, I think they are a good unit, but I don't think they're good enough to slow down Jonathan Taylor. And Daniel Jones, my thing with him, come playoffs in a big game, do I trust him with regards to his turnovers? No, I don't trust him. But when you have Jonathan Taylor and you have positional players, skills position players around your quarterback and Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, and Tyler Warren, I think you can only do good things as long as Shane Steichen leans on that rushing attack and leans on Jonathan Taylor. And I think he is the difference. Similar to Saquon Barkley running through teams in the playoffs last year for Philly, I think Jonathan Taylor is that X factor. Give me the Colts to take down the Chargers in this matchup. And to wrap up, if the playoffs started today, who would my picks to win be in the AFC? The last matchup that we would have in the first round would be the number 4 seed Pittsburgh Steelers hosting the Buffalo Bills, who would be the 5 seed. The Bills 7-3, the Steelers 6-4, coming off a win against Cincy, 34-12. Meantime, Buffalo taking down the Buccaneers in convincing fashion. That game was absolute cinema. What was it, like 9+ lead changes in that one? But Buffalo is ultimately able to prevail on the back of Josh Allen, who had 3 rushing touchdowns in a 44-32 win. When you look at these two teams, we're going to get a test of it. We're going to get a good taste and a good test in about 2 weeks' time in Week 13 when Pittsburgh plays host to Buffalo. We're going to get a nice little view of what would happen in a matchup between these two teams. But Aaron Rodgers, guy has a broken bone in his left wrist. According to reports, and at the time of recording this, we didn't get, or I don't have, the further information on the extent of the injury. But from what I was seeing from Rappaport specifically, Aaron Rodgers plans to play against the Chicago Bears in this upcoming Week 12 matchup. He wants to own the Bears once more, and I don't blame him. But Aaron Rodgers, if the playoffs started today, I think he'd be playing this game. I think he would be playing in this playoff game against the Buffalo Bills with the season on the line. Going to be 42 in December. The guy is a stud. He's played through injuries before. Trust me, as a Packer fan, I know well and good about all of that. If the playoffs were to start today and these two teams went head-to-head, Aaron Rodgers, I think, would be playing top-tier football. And you look at the offense, I know people are going to say, but look at the weapons around Rodgers. He doesn't have many. Outside of DK Metcalf, the clear number 1, you got Calvin Austin III, and pretty much the tight ends, Darnell Washington, Jonnu Smith, and Pat Freiermuth. But that is why I picked the Pittsburgh Steelers to take down the Buffalo Bills if the playoffs started today. I know Josh Allen is an MVP candidate. I know that the Bills cohesively are probably the better football team when you compare them to the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I don't think it's that far. I don't think it's that much of a difference. I think it's close. The Steelers defense, albeit they've had some rotations in and out of their lineup when it comes to the secondary. Ramsey probably is going to get suspended for spitting on Jamar Chase, so you wouldn't have him at the safety position. You'd have to rely on the vet Jabril Peppers. Kyle Duggar, I think, was an outstanding acquisition for the Steelers secondary. At strong safety, you probably would not have Slay because of injury. You might have Alex Highsmith, though. If the playoffs started today and we had a playoff matchup, Highsmith, I think, would battle through the pectoral injury and play in this game. The Steelers defense, they're a top 3 unit in sacks. They have the D-line and they have the pressure with Watt, with Highsmith, with Herbig, with Hayward plugging up the middle to cause some havoc against Josh Allen. I think they do a good job in containing Josh Allen in this game. And I think Aaron Rodgers, we would see him win one for the Gipper and come out and go head-to-head and duel with Josh Allen in this one. Give me the Pittsburgh Steelers, also because they would be at home. They would be in Pittsburgh, and we all know how Steeler fans get with the terrible towels. It would get rowdy. I think the Steelers would narrowly defeat the Buffalo Bills if the playoffs started today. When you look at that matchup against Cincy, Kenneth Gainwell led the way in receiving for the Pittsburgh Steelers. 2 receiving touchdowns, 81 yards on 7 catches. One way you look at that as a problem, and another way you look at that as Aaron Rodgers feeds families and knows how to spread the football around, knows how to make guys better and elevate guys, elevate their play. Give me the Steelers to take down the Bills. But I want to know your thoughts on all of these matchups. Who would you pick if the playoffs started today? Drop it in the comment section below. Stay tuned for the NFC version of this video, which will be dropping in a day or two. And subscribe to the Kenny C Show.